Howdy y'all, Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. Today I will tell you my journey into entering Islam or reverting to Islam. So I grew up around Atlanta, Georgia, in a Latin American Catholic Christian household. Ever since I was a toddler, I felt like a hunger for God. But I wanted to talk to God directly, and not even really Jesus so much, but like God. So much less the saints, much less the statue. I wanted to talk to God. And that was just something that bothered me about the Catholic Church. But I kind of just kept it to myself. I kind of just prayed to God directly without much sharing it, because I just kind of had a natural tendency to do that. So at the age of 13, I started reading the Bible, and very quickly I found out that the Catholic Bible does not align with anything that the Catholic Church does. After being disappointed big time, I left and converted into Southern Baptist, which is the most predominant church in the South, in the area of the American South. But again, even their practice does not follow the book. It's like worship only God and God alone. Well, they worship Jesus. They pray to Jesus. They actually tell you God will not listen to you unless you pray and worship Jesus. That's their message. And then they make fun of the Catholics. They're like, why do they pray to Mary? And in hindsight, I'm like, why do y'all pray to Jesus? It's like you're the same thing, But so I kind of left spirituality altogether, late teens, early 20s. At the age of 30, I had a major heart attack, almost died. I saw it as a wake-up call to return to spirituality, even though it was a pile of nonsense, at least the churches, So I tried very carefully to study them. I went back to a Catholic church the first time. I actually liked it. I felt like the guy was genuine, the priest, the reverend. Another Catholic church, and I also liked this guy because I actually had to move from the place I was living at. So this other guy was actually, I thought, more cool than the other one, because this one, first of all, his last name is Medina, like the Medina city in the holy city of Medina. And ironically enough, coincidentally enough, he encouraged us in one sermon to go visit the masjids, the mosques. I recall him saying this: take off your shoes, walk into a masjid, a mosque. I didn't think much about it at the time. I do more now than I did then. So I kind of just went there, occasionally, try to keep a good spiritual standing in terms of that because of the heart attack. And so, the heart attack completely healed after night of prayer during Christmas night. Medically confirmed, something that was clinically irreversible completely went away. So I actually wrote a book about it. In the book, the conclusion that I made was that all churches, religions, but especially churches, have a little bit of truth, but there is no one religion, there is no one church that has the entire truth. And that was the conclusion of the book I wrote. So maybe 2-3 years down the road, I start having these just negative events affecting me. And they all kind of began when my sister started to hang out or join some kind of witchcraft, black magic arts organization, or became friends with people like that, something along the lines of that. She goes missing for 3 days. Terrifying. We think the worst. Me and my family think the worst. They found her passport and her purse somewhere in Metro Atlanta, like subway or busport, something like that. And so come to find out, and we find her in a mental hospital. They said she was preaching or something, and she was arrested, but then they saw she had mental issues. And so they took her in for that. And, she kind of came out, kind of laughed at us, and went back to the same thing. And I started experiencing like these just things. Like one of them was I started having these vivid, lucid nightmares that would just haunt me at night. I would wake up, literally wake up, like sometimes screaming, catching my breath, feel like somebody was actually pushing against me. And when I was having them, the scientific term of this is sleep paralysis. In Islam, based on the Quran, this is attributed to jinn, spirits that roam around us, that are unseen. I did not know anything about jinn or spirits, nothing. I thought it was just like a bad streak of events. So in the Bible, we're told that if we ever experience such, to say, in the name of Jesus, go away. When I would say that, it would get worse. Like it would just get worse. And so then at my workplace, I started having a series of events, just bullying, big time bullying. We're not talking about a bad look. We're not talking about not saying good morning in the morning. We're talking about like these jealous people would come in and shatter my diplomas, university degrees, diplomas, whatever you want to call them, that were framed in glass, and would just try to get me in trouble every chance they could, and it was obviously professional jealousy taken to 10 levels up. So it came to the point to where I just had to leave. I mean, I was a really good teacher at the school. I'm still a really good teacher, one of the best. I don't want to brag on myself, but I will say that. But these people just were just so jealous. They were willing to take it to any levels. I'm having these kinds of like basically spells with sleep paralysis, seeing things, while I'm asleep, but at the same time I'm awake. And these other people at work, they kind of know that I'm going through something. They don't care. It's like they're actually egging it on along with it. So I eventually applied to teach abroad, and very quickly a school from Cairo, Egypt quickly gives me a good offer. I sign. Before you know it, I'm in Egypt. And come to Egypt, I would not call it a culture shock. I would call it a culture surprise, because back in the United States, we are taught that if you come to the Middle East and you're a Christian and you have the Bible, they'll chop your head off. And any American can attest to that. At least my age group, that's what we were taught back in the 2000s, more like the 2000s. And so, I come here and I'm like just kind of watching my shoulder. But come to find out really quickly that the people are very friendly. I would hear the call of prayer. I was intrigued by it. I remember what Father Roberto Medina would say. And so made a friend who was a devout Muslim at work. And he, surely enough, just like the Father Medina had advised, took my shoes off, went in the mosque. I had a friend who had given me a copy of the English translation of the Holy Quran, and I'm sitting in the mosque because my friend is praying, but I'm not praying because I'm just visiting, and I'm going through the translation of the Quran that my other friend had given me, and I stopped stunned when I looked at Surah Al-Falaq, the daybreak. It's a 5-verse prayer. Say, I seek refuge in the Lord of daybreak, from the evil which his creatures bring, and from the evil when the darkness settles, and from the evil of the women who practice witchcraft, and from the evil of the eye of the envious. So all my problems that landed me in Egypt were found in one surah of the Holy Quran, except here they were not problems, they became the solution.